Good afternoon, and welcome to the Baccalaureate service for the class of 2014. My name is Nancy Vogel, and I'm the Director of Religious and Spiritual Life at the college. Before I give a little background on the Baccalaureate service itself, I would like to acknowledge that this service is being held on the traditional lands of the Abenaki people, and we pay our respects to elders both past and present, and extend that respect to other Native people here today. The Baccalaureate service itself seems to have originated in the early 15th century at Oxford University in England. Each graduate was obliged to deliver an oration or sermon in Latin to demonstrate his, and I mean his, worthiness to receive the degree of bachelor, signified by crowning him with laurels. This service was in effect what we now call commencement. For after you had orated and been crowned with laurels, you were a bachelor. You had your degree. In America, at religious colleges like Dartmouth was at its founding and early years, the graduation ceremony included a church service so that new graduates would understand both the seriousness of their new responsibilities and the true source of all their achievements. Today's service has evolved greatly since the days of Eleazar Wheelock. It is now a multi-faith, multicultural service. It is not a watered-down service which, in attempting to please all, ends up pleasing none. At least I truly hope not. Instead, today we celebrate the variety of religious and spiritual traditions that are now represented at Dartmouth. We celebrate what we hold in common while also recognizing each tradition's beautiful particularities. We do not expect everyone to be able to understand or affirm every aspect of this service. Many parts may be familiar, some will not. We do hope that by honoring the integrity of various religious traditions, each participant will find both comfort and challenge. Not all religious traditions represented at Dartmouth are included in today's service, simply because of the length that such a service would require. Still, it is our goal over time to ensure that all the religious communities at Dartmouth are invited to bring their contributions to this time of celebration and worship when we pause as a college to give thanks to God for our graduates. God bless all of you who are graduating, and to your families and friends who have supported you. We celebrate with you, and we pray that you may be a blessing to the world.
Please remain standing. Aloha Kaua, a prayer, a chant from Kanaka Maoli, the Native Hawaiian tradition. This prayer invites us to move into a sacred space together. And I, a Native Hawaiian, along with the indigenous peoples of the United States of America and of the world, ask the Creator to give forth knowledge from above, every little bit of wisdom contained in song. Give forth, oh give forth. E ho mai kaike mai luna mai e o na mea huna noi au o na mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e a e ho mai kaike mai luna mai e o na mea huna noi au o na mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e a e ho mai kaike mai luna mai e o na mea huna noi au o na mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e.
Please be seated, and at this time we'll let any, okay. At this time, I invite Professor Rama Jayanti to come forward to speak from the perspective of a parent.
Good afternoon. I would like to begin by asking a question, a simple question. Where were you on September 15th, 2010? Not that far back, exactly 1,361 days. We were in the middle of moving in. Yes, moving day for the class of 2014. Around this time, we were physically pulling and tugging heavy boxes up 4 flights of stairs in Judge. We thought that elevator-less buildings are a clever device that Dartmouth has specifically designed to make you tough. Our son Anirudh, understandably, was nervous. We were nervous. How is Anirudh going to survive an elevator-less culture for 4 long years? Just like many of you, on that first day on campus, we did not know anybody. We roamed the campus. A visit to the hop, a stroll around the green, the shopping strip right outside the campus, the Baker Bell Tower reoriented us as we constantly got lost. The atmosphere was very homely, but we were alone together. On that first day on campus, although excited about the intellectual challenges that Dartmouth offers, Anirudh was missing a very important ingredient for success in college, a sense of belongingness, a sense of community, friends he can call his own. We remember coming to Rollins in search of Shanti, literally peace, the Hindu student organization. And we found the community. we were looking for. People surrounded Anirudh, and he made friends. Thanks to the Tagore Foundation for creating social spaces like Shanti, where our students can gather and develop a sense of belongingness, a sense of community. In this age of instant communication, one might argue that we have an abundance of community on Facebook. Unfortunately, community is not how many likes you get on Facebook, since Facebook does not create ties that bind. Shanti does not like you in distant space and time. It is physically there to hold your hand, to look into your eyes, to say, I have been where you are now, and it's going to be all right. And indeed, it was all right. Ladies and gentlemen, when our children entered college, on that Wednesday back in September of 2010, the seeds of learning, and more importantly, faith in that learning, lay dormant in them, often obscured by doubts and anxieties about themselves, about their future here. Shanti, or any other Thakur group for that matter, creates a secure and fertile environment for our children to shed their doubts, to scale the mountains of mind. Scaling is not easy, requires hard work and knowledge. Knowledge that fully 40% of all young men and women who enter college unfortunately do not graduate. Shanti teaches them humility, to look at the world not through their own eyes, but through the eyes of these 40% so that they can reach out to them. Scaling requires staying hungry so that the intellectual pursuits that Dartmouth has initiated in you stay with you throughout your life. Above all, scaling mountains of mind requires that you look within for an inner mooring, an inner grounding, inner peace, Shanti, that complements, even bolsters, the very high standards for academic learning that Dartmouth demands of its student body, creating a virtuous cycle of competence and confidence. Shanti transforms ordinary students into extraordinary citizens. In the middle of making presentations to high school students about Hinduism, and as a part of an organizing committee, pulling successful annual events like Nritya Vasantam and Diwali, Anirudh and his teammates learned to scale the mountains of doubt. Scaling not necessarily to find answers to questions, but very often to change the questions themselves, to learn from within and from others. Thanks to the strong culture of support that Shanti nurtures, Anirudh will be moving out of campus tomorrow, still from a building that has no elevator, but as a confident young man who found the most precious resource for a successful and fulfilled life, faith in his own ability. Finally, in the middle of a number of doubts and uncertainties of our own, we moms know one thing for sure, that the best in you is ready to come out. Congratulations, class of 2014. May Shanti follow you as you scale mountains of life. I would like to finish with a short verse followed by a translation. Sarve jana sukhino bhavatu. May the world share in our happiness. Thank you so very much for giving me this opportunity. Namaste.
So I'm not really sure how I follow that. Thank you all for being here today. Earlier this spring, when my colleague Nancy Vogel, where is she? There she is, told me that we were going to have the pleasure of having Paul from Peter, Paul, and Mary here to speak at Baccalaureate. I was talking with my family over dinner, and my dad literally burst into song. I am not much of a vocalist, so I will spare you any repeat performance of that, but you can understand why I am so delighted, indeed really honored, to be able to introduce Reverend Betty and Noel Stuckey to you this afternoon. Just a little bit of their background, and then we'll get on to the best part of the one of the best parts of the afternoon. Reverend Stuckey is an ordained United Church of Christ minister who has ministered to and counseled thousands of folks in her time as a minister, including as chaplain of a school with more than 1,000 young men and women from a whole variety of faith traditions. Mr. Stuckey is a singer-songwriter and is probably best known as Paul from Peter, Paul, and Mary. He has been writing songs that reflect the political, cultural, socio-political, and spiritual dynamics of our collected stories for decades. Betty and Noel have been working together for more than 50 years, I love this part, as husband and wife, as parents, as business partners, as activists, believing that no one person can own God, believing that God has many names and that each person's path is a valid one. Reverend and Mr. Stuckey bring this message to communities all over the country with the hope of creating unity and opening paths to understanding and peace. We are honored that they are with us today to share their multi-faith program, One Light, Many Candles. I hope that you will join me in welcoming them and they share their message with all of us and most importantly, with our graduates.
Boy, I have never heard America sung like that. That was just beautiful. Noel and I want to add our congratulations to the many congratulations that all of you have been getting. To you students for making it through 4 years successfully, and also to you parents, because without you, your students wouldn't be here. So it's been a wonderful joint effort. Congratulations to all of you. Noel and I were raised in the Christian tradition, and mostly we adhere to that faith today. But we also believe that the growing religious diversity of this nation and of this world is calling all people to learn about other religions and to appreciate, honor, and respect the communal and individual truth of other religions. It's interesting to note that even though all the religions are very diverse and very different, they have many things in common. Probably the most notable is the dictate that we love our neighbor. All the major religions have this same command: love your neighbor. But now in America, across America, in many towns and cities, our neighbor can be Muslim or Jewish or Baha'i or Sikh or Christian or Islamic or many, many others. And sometimes it gets a little harder to love your neighbor when there are so many cultural, religious, and social differences. But God is always inviting us to love our neighbor. Maybe that neighbor who is so different from you can show you an aspect of God that you would never have seen before. Maybe that neighbor could enlarge your awareness that many paths lead to God. We call our presentation One Light, Many Candles, because we envision the one light as the guiding, ultimate divine source toward which we are all struggling on our various paths in search of wisdom and love and comfort. We hope that you will hear your own voice in the readings this afternoon, which are collected from many of the religious, spiritual, and visionary traditions, and that you will hear your own heart in the beautiful music and realize your deep connectedness to each other.
We live in the same house on different floors, and I got my window and you got yours. We each got a door that leads to the hall, but the rooms are so cozy and the door is so small. One flame, many candles, one sky, many stars, one sea, many rivers, one love. And this is the part where you learn the lyrics and sing along with me. So it's one flame, many candles, one sky, many stars, one sea, many rivers, one love, many hearts. All right, now we'll sing it. One flame, many candles, one sky, many stars, one sea, many rivers, one love, so many hearts. So mostly we sit by our windows and stare. Sometimes we wonder what's happening out there. Is there something I'm missing? Something I ought to see? Something bigger than life? Something bigger than me? Come on now. One flame, many candles, one sky, many stars. One sea, many rivers, one love. So many hearts, one flame, many candles, one sky. One sea, many rivers, one love. So many hearts. I'm reading a book I found on the shelf, a mystery that I've written myself. I'm in the last chapter, I'm not sure what's in store, but I'm betting it ends with a knock on the door. Here we go. One flame, many candles, one sky, many stars, one sea, many rivers, one love. So many hearts, one flame, many candles, one sky, many stars, one sea, many rivers, one love. Watch it now. So many hearts.
God lives in a land beyond language, in a land beyond limits. We are all connected by a source of love that knows no boundaries, maybe has no name, and is available for all of us when we open our hearts to each other. People from different religions may claim that their God is the one God, the only God, and the true God. But we dare to believe that God is available for everyone. No one has an exclusive claim on God, and that at their very best, all the world's religions are leading to the same ultimate reality, the reality of love. It seems to me that wherever you are on your path, if your journey is based on love, then it is valid. As I see it, it's really not so important which religion we belong to or don't belong to, but whether or not we are growing in love. The atheist who denies God, the church, mosque, synagogue, and temple goer, the pagan who seeks God in nature, the spiritual seeker, the many for whom AA is a religion. We are all connected through love. And I think that we belittle God when we believe that he or she is not big enough to care for all of us in our rainbow array of faith.
Oh, had I a golden thread and needle so fine, I'd weave a tapestry of rainbow design, of rainbow design. And far over the water, I'd weave my magic strand to every city, through every single land, through every land. In it I would weave the bravery of women giving birth. In it I would weave the innocence of children over all the earth, of children of the earth. Show all my brothers and my sisters my rainbow design, and bind up this sorry world with hand and heart and mind, with hand and heart and mind. Oh, had I a golden thread and needle so fine, I'd weave a tapestry of rainbow design, of rainbow design.
from Black Elk, a holy man of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round about beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw, and the shape of all shapes as they must live together like one being. And I saw that sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father, and I saw it was holy.
Black Elk eloquently puts into words what Noel and I have come to believe, that each of our religious traditions make one circle in Native American terms, and that we are all children of one mother and one father. So what shall we think? Is it possible, as Black Elk suggests, that all of our traditions make one circle, one equal circle, every religious tradition? How would our lives change if we knew that an all-inclusive divine love connects us to everyone else, regardless of our religious differences?
Our lives are connected like facets of a jewel, the reluctance of a wise man, the wisdom of a fool. They border on each other, sometimes kind, sometimes cruel. Yes, our lives are connected like patches on a quilt, sewn by coincidence, each border raised in guilt. Sometimes we choose, sometimes we are filled. Our lives are connected. And who's to say the universe is but a single thought contained within the mind of God? And who's to say it's not? If love is the lesson, then how's the teacher taught? Ooh, our lives are connected like waves upon a shore, sometimes with a whisper and sometimes with a roar. Sometimes we think we leave no trace, but sometimes less is more. Our lives are connected like pages in a book. The past is the present through which the future looks, like leaves on a river, like ripples in a brook. Our lives are connected. Our lives are connected. Our lives are connected. Our lives are connected.
I had the good fortune to hear Father Richard Rohr speak at the Down East Spiritual Life Conference in Maine a few summers ago. And he had some interesting things to say about the words Allah and Yahweh, some similarities. Allah, as we know, is the Muslim word for God, and Yahweh, or Elohim, is the Hebrew word for God. Both Allah and Yahweh are derived from the same root. Allah and Yahweh share a linguistic history. Father Rohr spoke about how Allah can be breathed rather than spoken, as in Allah. That in Islamic meditation, the slow, repeated word, Allah, brings about a deep awareness of the utterly unique, the eternal, Allah. Interestingly, the Hebrew word Yahweh, according to Father Rohr, can be looked at in somewhat the same manner. For the Hebrew people, the concept of God is unnameable, unspeakable, most holy. It can only be breathed. And so we say, Yahweh. The Hebrew God is also the very breath of life. God is with us. Islam and Judaism share the most basic concept of their God. Muslim and Jew agree that the unspeakable, most holy, the eternal, the source of our breath, the source of our life, Yahweh, Allah, God is with us. And yet they have been and are in violent opposition to each other. But I ask you to listen now to the prayers, to two prayers that these young men will read. I'd like you to listen for the similarities in what they are saying. And I invite you to pray along in silence if you wish.
A Jewish prayer for peace. May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world. Then nation shall not threaten nation, and humankind will not again know war. For all who live on earth shall realize we have not come into being to hate or destroy. We have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love.
A Muslim prayer for peace. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise be to the Lord of the universe, who has created us and made us into tribes and nations that we may know each other, not that we may despise each other. If the enemy incline towards peace, do thou also incline toward peace.
Did you hear how similar these prayers are? That they're both asking for the same thing. And yet, over the course of history, they have been in deep conflict with each other. How do we manage to hate so when we have so much in common?
There's a pigeon of peace in my backyard. He's the wrong kind of bird, but he tries so hard. One day I told him, you should have been a dove. He cocked his head and looked at me with love, and he sang, peace in the valley, peace on the mountain too. Before you tell a man he's got a splinter in his eye, you better pull the log out of you. You can sing it too. Peace in the valley, peace on the mountain too. Peace on the mountain too. Before you tell a man he's got a splinter, before you tell a man he's got a splinter in his eye, you better pull the log out of one more time, and I think you got it. Peace in the valley, peace on the mountain too. Before you came to church to lay her burden down. The preacher turned his back, though the room was filled. The words that she spoke, I remember them still. She said, peace in the valley, peace on the mountain too. Before you tell a man he's got a splinter in his eye, you better pull the log out of one more time. I say, peace in the valley, peace on the mountain too. Before you tell a man he's got a splinter in his eye, you better pull the log out of you. So if you meet a man in a pastel suit with an alligator Bible to match his boots, you might not like his style too much, but if he can reach a soul you could never touch, what do you say but peace in the valley? You say peace on the mountain too. Before you tell a man he's got a splinter in his eye, you better pull the log out of one last time. I say peace in the valley, peace on the mountain too. Before you tell a man he's got a splinter in his eye, you better pull the log out of you. You better pull the log out of you. You better pull the log out of you.
The great Hindu peacemaker, Mahatma Gandhi, believed that all religions are true. He writes this from his book, All Religions Are True. The principal faiths of the world constitute a revelation of truth, but they have all been outlined by imperfect man. One must, therefore, entertain the same respect for the religious faiths of others as one accords to one's own. Where such tolerance becomes a law of life, conflict between different faiths becomes impossible, and so does all effort to convert other people to one's own faith.
So, what would it be like to respect somebody else's faith without trying to talk them into ours? What would it be like to simply just listen, clear and clean, without any inner resistance to get our own stuff in there? Could it be possible that more divine love will be revealed in the world as more people come to appreciate and honor the beauty and wisdom of other traditions? Gandhi goes on to say this: I believe in the fundamental truth of all the great religions of the world. I believe they were all God-given, and I believe they were necessary for the people to whom these religions were revealed. Listen now to the words of two very different spiritual leaders.
From the Dalai Lama. May we become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need.
And this familiar prayer attributed to St. Francis: Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hate, may I bring love. Where offense, may I bring pardon. May I bring unison in place of discord, truth replacing error, faith where once there was doubt, hope for despair, light where was darkness, joy to replace sadness. Make me not so crave to be loved as to love. Help me to learn that in giving, I may receive. In forgetting self, I may find life eternal.
The Dalai Lama is Buddhist, and St. Francis was a Catholic. One writes today, and one wrote in ancient times. The wording of these two prayers is very different, but the meaning is the same. We are to love, help, pardon, guide, protect, and offer peace.
Love is revealed at the speed of light. You don't need to be a scientist to know that's right. Love is here today, tonight. Love rules. You might be young, you could be old. Everybody needs a hand to hold. Somehow we know before we're told. Love rules. Love's a beggar, but not a thief. Steals no hearts and brings no grief. Just waits patiently for belief. Love has many hearts and hands, and the ones who seem to understand are taking steps, not making plans. Love rules. Just like them, I'm trying to be a student of transparency, more of love and less of me. Love rules. 'Cause every time I turn away from what love has to say, I burn a bridge, I build a fence, I lose another piece of innocence. Ooh, dust to dust we humans drive, right to see the stars alive, but love will last the end of time. Love rules. And when we're gone in our graves, buried by the things we've saved, love will remember what you gave. Love rules. Oh yeah, love is gentle and love is kind. Love forgives, but it is not blind. Love is what we were born to find. Love rules. Love rules. Love rules. And just in case you missed the point, love rules.
Please join me in prayer. Source of love, we come to you today with hope. Help us learn to honor our differences while finding a language in which to speak of them together. Give us the strength to question our own traditions and the grace to respect the beliefs of others. May we come to honor, even in those we fear, the love that lives in us all. Show us how to speak to the best in our neighbors and attend to the worst in ourselves. May we soon see the day when this world will indeed be a place of peace for everyone. Amen. May we soon see the day when this world will be a place of peace for everyone. That day is here, now, and it begins with us. Thank you.
For this next selection, we encourage you to join along, and what an honor to be on the program with the likes of you all. I feel like we've come full circle, so thank you so much. And I would tell you that when you clap on this song, you've already shown me that when you clap along with him, you clapped on beats 2 and 4. So we ask that you do the same thing on this. Clap with us and have a good time. Beats 2 and 4. Thank you. All right, y'all, clap with us. You can turn it up a little bit. This may be your September, but this is our May. Congratulations, class of 2014.
Dartmouth's president, John Sloan Dickey, who established the Tucker Foundation, also led the trustees of the college to affirm that Dartmouth's moral and spiritual purpose springs from a belief in the existence of good and evil, from faith in the ability of men to choose between them, and a sense of duty to advance the good. With his ongoing injunction that the world's troubles are your troubles, I cannot help but also hear the words of Jesus Christ to his followers, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I've overcome the world." Therefore, may you know the love of God who made all things, that you may show compassion to those who suffer. May you know the hope of God who will establish justice once and for all, that you may sustain love in the midst of trouble. May you know the mercy of God who forgives, that you may be restored when you fail. May you know the favor of the God of joy, that you may be a conduit of blessing in this world of trouble. Amen.